Hello and welcome into another edition of the Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm your host, Jeremy Huber, with another week of excitement in high school football in the district, Maryland and Virginia. That's why we call it DMVSTREAM.com. And, of course, it's the Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.com. Again, you want to get in touch with us, do it by tweeting us at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Well, we had ourselves some excitement in the area tonight. We saw a few upsets, especially one at the top of the poll, and that's where we'll start off tonight. It was DeMatha, number one in the area, going down. They fall to number 15, Gonzaga, 24-14. The Eagles forcing 4 DeMatha turnovers in that matchup, and Tyree Randolph ran for 117 on the ground with 2 scores. So it was a big night for Gonzaga. Of course, DeMatha kind of harboring hopes of a possible national title. That going by the wayside tonight with this loss to Gonzaga as the Eagles catch the Stags and move to 7-0 on the season, handing DeMatha their first loss of the year. Elsewhere tonight, Damascus, that was on Thursday, Damascus, a big winner over Whitman. The second-ranked Swarman Hornets all over Whitman, 63-7. Lake Braddock, a big winner tonight. The number 3-ranked Bruins, they beat W.T. Woodson 61-0 in their matchup. So they stay undefeated as well, maybe on a collision course with South County coming up later on in the year. South County was in action tonight as they faced off with Mount Vernon, and South County rolled in that one. Don't have the score in front of me, though. We'll get that one for you soon, but it was a blowout in their favor in the matchup. So, again, those two teams, Lake Braddock and South County, 3-4 in the area and looking like they're going to end up colliding later on in the season. Number 5, Old Mill, they're in action tomorrow against Southern at 1 p.m. Number 6, Wise, maybe a tough one tomorrow. They go to Eleanor Roosevelt in a 2 p.m. start. Number 7, Westfield over at Robinson tonight, 3-0. Yes, that score is right, 3-0 as Westfield got a field goal in the second quarter, then held on for a win. We will hear from the Bulldogs head coach Kyle Simmons coming up in the show. Number 8, Tuscarora, a winner over Edison, 34-6. It was number 9, Seneca Valley over Wheaton tonight by a count of 50-6. Elsewhere, it was Stonebridge with an upset over Broad Run. Bulldogs with a win over their crosstown rivals in what they call the Battle of the Burn. Bulldogs kind of getting back under, getting things going once again after having a tough start to their season, some injuries, of course, to their quarterback and the coach's son, Joe Thompson. But Mickey Thompson's Bulldogs with a 27-13 win tonight over their crosstown rivals in Ashburn. Number 11, Quince Orchard beats Northwest 28-7. It was number 12, St. John's in action at Carroll tomorrow, 2 p.m. start. Also, number 13, Good Counsel at McNamara tomorrow in a 2 p.m. start. Number 14, Howard beat Hammond tonight 47-10. So Howard, they stay unbeaten on the season, and the Lions having themselves a pretty good campaign so far. Number 16, Paint Branch over Springbrook, 40-12. Number 17, Duval faces Bladensburg tomorrow. That's a 2 p.m. start. Number 18, Spalding, they fall big to Gilman, the Baltimore Power, 48-7. Number 19, Sherwood, a winner tonight, 35-0 over Blair. So Sherwood with a big win. And, of course, they've got a big one next week as they'll go ahead and face Paint Branch in a highly anticipated matchup in that contest. Elsewhere, it was Hilton, number 20 in the area, falling to Colonial Forge by a count of 16-24. So that's your look at the top 20. We've got so many guests on the show tonight. You got to make sure you stay tuned for every single one of them. We told you Kyle Simmons of Westfield will be joining us. Also joining us on the show tonight, Mickey Thompson of Stonebridge, told you about that. Also coming up, head coach of Quince Orchard, John Kelly, will join us to talk about their win over Northwest tonight. Also on the agenda tonight, we will check in with Lenny Schultz, head coach of the Madison Warhawks. They got a big win tonight over South Lake, kind of put them in the driver's seat in Virginia Conference 6. And then also we will chat with the head coach of the Bell Griffins, Desmond Alexander, his team with a nail-biting win over Eastern tonight in DCIAA stripes play. puts them on top all by their lonesome and really kind of puts them in the driver's seat in that conference as they look for another Gravy Bowl appearance and deep run in the DCSAA playoffs. So stay tuned for all that. It's all coming up here on the Final Drive. Remember, if you want to go ahead and interact with us, do it via Twitter, DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. I'm Jeremy Huber. This is the Final Drive, and we'll be right back after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rub ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into the Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Lots going on. Of course, the news of the night, number 1 DeMatha going down to number 15 Gonzaga 24-14. The Eagles forcing 4 turnovers from the Stags in that contest. Tyree Randolph running for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns, maybe catching up with head coach Randy Trivers in just a bit, but we will see. Hopefully we'll end up getting kind of tracking him down later on in the night. But again, we got so many coaches we want to go ahead and catch up with and talk to. One of those coaches, talked to him before the show, number 7 Westfield, their head coach Kyle Simmons. They had a big win tonight, an interesting win to say the least, as they beat Robinson 3-0. But again, they stay unbeaten in the Concord District Conference 5, and also with Centerville, Herndon, and Chantilly coming up. Obviously not out of the woods yet, but taking down Robinson seemed like their big competition, with Centerville having a bit of a down year. So again, talked to Kyle Simmons, head coach of the Westfield Bulldogs, before the show, and this is how things went. Coach Simmons, it's interesting. This weekend, the Washington Redskins play the New York Jets, and I was hearing some talk radio this week or today talking about the fact that that infamous 3-0 game the Redskins lost to the Jets back in '94. I didn't think I'd be seeing 2 quality teams like you guys and Robinson tonight play to a 3-0 game. Have you ever seen a game like this in your long history as a coach?
Well, one of my assistants and I were just discussing how I think we set a record at Westfield for the lowest scoring game we've ever participated in.
That's something. Obviously, I know you guys pride yourselves on hard-nosed football at Westfield. I would assume you had to like, if not maybe the points scored, you had to like the stick-to-itiveness to say, hey, if we put some points on the board, we're going to win this game, correct?
Yeah, I was extremely proud of our defense and the way they hung in there. We had a goal line stand there in the fourth quarter, and then we had another stop in the fourth quarter to seal the game. And, we missed a field goal in the first quarter, and then I put the kicker back out there for an even longer field goal, which he connected on. So I was very proud of that. And you're right. I mean, sometimes you gotta get the gritty wins, and that's what we did tonight. We on the backs of our defense and a field goal kicker that that scored one that we didn't think was going to be the last point of the game. But yeah, it was a gritty win.
Talking to Kyle Simmons, head coach of the Westfield Bulldogs, his team a winner over Robinson tonight. Coach, can you give us, for folks that obviously weren't there, didn't see it, give us maybe just a kind of a feel of this game, of how it kind of went, the ebbs and flows? You said there were a couple of times both teams got chances, didn't really convert them. Was there kind of a feeling in the stands like, hey, is someone going to score a point? Was there some extra anticipation because of the way this game played out score-wise?
Well, I think that offensively we moved the ball pretty effectively. At certain times in the game, like I said, we missed a field goal in the first quarter. That really hurt. We threw a pick in the second quarter when we were down on their 25. Then we turned around and coughed the ball up in the third quarter on the 1 yard line. So, it was very frustrating offensively because you were doing some good things, but you weren't putting points on the board. And thank goodness for our defense playing so strong that they didn't allow them to score. But, there was a sense that it was there to be taken. We just didn't execute and get the points on the board.
But you end up getting the win. Coach, it's interesting. You guys play a quality Robinson team that runs the wing tee. You play a Centerville team coming up that runs it as well. Did familiarity with that offense help you guys out, and maybe will it help you out next week when you face off with the Wildcats?
Yeah, so that certainly helps when you play back-to-back teams with similar offenses. So that'll play into our defense's hands. But the downside of that is they're both very physical teams, and we're going to heal up over the next 7 days and get prepared for the next physical game, which the Concord traditionally is. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's about who can stay the healthiest district games.
Yeah, and obviously that's going to be an issue in that district. You also physical Herndon and Chantilly to close the season out. Coach, one last one before we let you go. You look at how your schedule's gone. You lost some of the kids with the suspensions middle of the season, but you guys have kept winning after the South County game. How do you like the trajectory of your team right now?
Yeah, this has been a season unlike any I've ever been part of, as far as you show up on Monday and Tuesday, you don't know who's going to be there. It's a combination of injuries. We've had a stomach bug that's gone around, certainly the discipline issues that we've had. And, as frustrating as that has been, I'm very proud of the staff and the players to just hang in there. I don't think we've started the same tailback in the last 5 games, and I don't know if we'll start the same tailback next week. It's just, we're just trying to get answers and get better and just not sit there and go, well, this is the way it is. So we're going to keep working hard. That's what I ask of the players, is just show up and give great effort, and we'll get better.
And you guys have managed to do that, even if the scores haven't been big. 3-0 tonight. Westfield beats Robinson again to go ahead and get another win in the Concord District. Coach Simmons, congratulations, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for your interest in Westfield football. Appreciate it.
And obviously that is an interesting program, as they had the loss against South County early in the season. You'd have to think those two may see each other again in the playoffs, but Bulldogs haven't lost since, and have had some issues, as he kind of alluded to, some sickness, some suspensions, but all they've done is managed to keep on winning. They've beat some good teams throughout that run, and looking in pretty good position to finish the season out 9-1. Obviously got the tough game against Centerville next week. The Wildcats have struggled, of course, on the year, but Bulldogs, again, good shot to go ahead and finish out the season 9-1. And I think Coach Simmons, considering what his team has been up against this year, would probably take that if that was the case, his team getting into the playoffs with a 9-1 record. Team that Westfield beat in one of their better wins of the season, the Stonebridge Bulldogs, as they knocked them off. Same game where Stonebridge's quarterback, Joe Thompson, was hurt in that matchup. Well, we had a chance to talk to the head coach of the Bulldogs, Joe's father, Mickey Thompson, before the show, talking about that win in that rivalry matchup between the Bulldogs and the Broad Run Spartans. Coach Thompson, your guys with a very impressive win tonight, knocking off Broad Run in really, I don't want to say stunning fashion because your team's played very well as of late, especially rebounding after your quarterback Joe Thompson went down. Talk about the performance of your guys tonight against the quality Broad Run team.
Well, I thought the story of the night was that we just played great defense all night. We had some great stops. We had the game. I kept waiting for, the dam to break, but it never broke. They just played great defense all night long, and it put us in a position to win. And we just had enough offense to occupy the clock, and we just played great defense all night.
Yeah, and I think from the Washington Post reporter out there, they said you guys stopped them at least 3 times inside your own 10 and held them to no points. I know you've been around for a long time, a great time. I played against you when you were a coach at Parkview, but have you ever had a defense to kind of stand up like that on its head almost to stop a quality offensive opponent like that inside the own 10-yard line?
Well, we've had some great defenses over the years, and, can't really say that I haven't had that kind of defense played before here, but in a big game like this, it ranks up there as one of the better defensive performances in Stonebridge history. So, I can't say enough about all those guys. They played with enthusiasm. They played with themselves. They didn't run their mouth. They just played hard, nosed defense all night, and it's really proud of them.
And Coach, it seems like your quarterback Joe, also your son, he went down with the ankle injury against Westfield. And it's funny, a guy who followed your career for a long time, like I have. I saw the next game you guys passed the ball 3 times. You went back to the old basics of the single wing, and it sounded like tonight you guys are doing that still. Is that kind of the decision that was made to say, hey, let's go back to Stonebridge basics and say, hey, we're going to play some hard-nosed, smash-mouth, run-the-ball football and see how it goes?
Partly, to be honest, but I really have a lot of faith in Easton Turner, our quarterback. But what happens is we get in a game and things don't go so well, and I can't really explain why we don't play that well in the spread without Joe. I'm trying to put my finger on it, but the plan was coming in tonight was, spread it out a little bit, do some different things, and try to get into the second half, and then go toe-to-toe and try to win the game in the single wing, not get in it early. But we got to push early, and we started getting some things early, and then we just got in it right in the first quarter and stayed in it the rest of the game. So it's not always, the way we plan it, but whatever's working, you have to stay with.
Yeah, most definitely. Coach Mickey Thompson, his team with a big win over Broad Run tonight, 27-13. Coach, I got to ask you this one. You coach against Matt Griffiths, your former offensive assistant, long time at Stonebridge. Again, a guy like you that's got some guys who's gone out and done some great things. How tough is it to go ahead and coach against a former assistant in a matchup like this?
Well, the first few years it was really hard because it was new, and I didn't want him to lose. He didn't want me to lose, and but now that we've been away a little bit, I have more of an appreciation for the game. I mean, the community loves the game. I've been fortunate enough to win, most of them so far, but you have to appreciate the moment that you got a great coach on the other side. There's a certain respect. I think I didn't hear as much talking as has been. I thought there was a pretty healthy respect on both sides, and you go out there and play a high school football game. I mean, what more do you want with all the people there? And that's why you coach for games like this. And it's kind of nice having a friend over on the other side. So hey, it's a healthy competitive game. That's all it is.
One last one for you, Coach. All coaches are one game at a time guys, and you say look forward to the season. Well, you guys, it's interesting the way it was an up and down season to start, but you guys can still win your conference in your first year in this conference, coming kind of back to all the Loudoun teams, and you got a big one next week against Tuscarora. I know you want to enjoy this one tonight, but your early thoughts on what should be one that's going to be well anticipated in Loudoun against the quality opponent in the Huskies.
Well, I mean, we're 4-3 and they're undefeated, so we got nothing to lose. I mean, they're the team to beat, so we'll just line up and head over there and see what happens.
Well, I tell you what, I think it's going to be one heck of a barn burner in Leesburg next week, knowing you guys are going to be on the sidelines and the teams you're bringing in. Mickey Thompson, again, congratulations. 27-13 winners over Broad Run tonight. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And Coach Thompson, again, as I said in the interview, I played against some of Coach Thompson's teams. A heck of a coach, covered him as well, the way he's built that Stonebridge program. And, I couldn't tell if he was kind of giving me the old Lou Holtz when I talked a little bit before the show or whether he had the confidence. But obviously his guys came out and really had themselves a game tonight, knocking off a very good Broad Run program. A lot of folks, I think the way things were stacking up, were kind of expecting Broad Run and Tuscarora to end up in their season-ending matchup, both undefeated. Tuscarora almost got knocked off last week by Potomac Falls, who had a nice win, which we'll tell you about in just a bit. Had a nice win tonight. But, of course, Broad Run not able to make it past this week without a loss as they fall to Stonebridge. And as we referenced in the interview, going to be a big one next week in Leesburg as Stonebridge, kind of the kings of the mountain in Loudon for a long time. They will go ahead and go to Tuscarora. And I believe those schools' first regular season meeting, though they have met a few times in scrimmages. They actually did scrimmage for a long time. So teams have some familiarity there, but this will be the first one that counts and should be a very interesting one next week in Leesburg. Coming up, we will hear from the head coach of the Quince Orchard Cougars, John Kelly, his team with a nice win over Northwest tonight. Also, we'll check in with Lenny Schultz of Madison, their big win over South Lakes tonight. Also, we'll check in with Bell head coach Desmond Alexander after his team's win over Eastern earlier on tonight. Stay tuned. All of that coming up. Plus, we'll get into the scores in Maryland, in Virginia, the privates, the DCs as well. So stay tuned for every single bit of it. Remember, you want to get at us, do it via Twitter at DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. More of the Final Drive with yours truly, Jeremy Huber, coming up right after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. Welcome back into the Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Jeremy Huber with you, running down all the scores and all the action here in the DMV area after a night of plenty of upsets. DeMatha went down tonight to Gonzaga. Also tonight, we saw upset Stonebridge knocking off Broad Run in their matchup tonight. Big one, another big upset there. So a few upsets on the board tonight. Also some big wins for a few teams as well. We'll get you up to date on all of it. We'll go ahead and look into some of the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia scores. We have also some of the private schools as well. We'll do that in just one moment. Want to go ahead and check out our third top 10 coach of the night who had a matchup tonight. We'll go ahead and do that right now. We had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Quince Orchard Cougars, John Kelly, before the show started. His team with a very impressive 28-7 win over Northwest. Remember, Quince Orchard losing first game of the season to number 2 Damascus. They have not looked back since, and they've been able to go ahead and pull away. So talk to Coach Kelly about that win over Northwest. Again, those two teams met last year. Actually, Quince Orchard won the regular season meeting before Northwest got them in the playoffs. So a little bit of revenge tonight for Coach John Kelly and his Quince Orchard Cougars. Coach Kelly, good win for you guys tonight, knocking off Northwest by a count of 28-7. Jaguars scored the first touchdown of the game against you guys, but you kind of came roaring back on them. How were you guys able to kind of take that initial blow, then flex your muscles the rest of the way?
Yeah, definitely. We came out fought defensively. Had to kind of get our feet grounded a little bit on defense. They had a very, very good first drive. After that, we kind of made a few adjustments. Kids kind of slowed themselves down a little bit and kind of gathered ourselves.
And most definitely, it seems like, in a sense, you went with a bit of the run game. Your backs seemingly dominating the way. Talk about their performance and the rest of the offense's performance tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm real happy with the way we played offensively. Marvin Beander, he had 20 carries for 193. Sean Barlow, he had 19 carries for 113. So both those guys, played very well. I think we had just over 300 yards, about 350 on the night rushing. Offensive line played very well up front. Did a good job with assignments and alignments. Proud of how hard these guys played all night.
Yeah, and obviously you got to be proud of how the defense played as well. A Northwest team that has had some struggles this season, but still a quality, talented team. To hold them down to one touchdown, you have to be proud of that, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you kind of you said there, that's a great point. I mean, they are a very, very talented football team. You're probably one of the most talented teams that we played so far this year, without question. And I was glad defensively our guys stepped up, especially our secondary. I thought our secondary did a great job tonight in coverage. Not giving up. We didn't give any big plays. We gave up one kind of play that first drive of theirs, but after that, our secondary buckled down, did a great job.
And Coach, you guys have a playoff contending team all the time. It's kind of the mark of Quince Orchard, the resurgence of that program. You lose the first one of the season against Damascus in pretty good fashion. They kind of put a whopping on you a little bit in that one. Was that a little bit of a reset for you guys? I know it was the first game of the season, but maybe to kind of reset and say, hey, this is the level we have to play at if we want to go ahead and reach our goals as a playoff contending program all the time?
Yeah, no question. Week one, I mean, give credit to Damascus because, in my opinion, they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the DC area. They're very good. So we didn't play well that game, and like you said, I think it was a good lesson for us. That we got to show up every night. We can't just kind of walk on the field and think we're going to get things done. So I'm glad that that kind of happened to us week one because, like you said, it was a good wake up call for us to get back to fundamentals. The one thing we stress to our kids every day is doing your job. Everybody has a job to do. If we get all 22 guys, offensive, defense, to do your job and carry your assignment, then we're a pretty good football team, I think.
Yeah, you've shown that so far on the year, with especially tonight a 28-7 win over Northwest. Head coach of Quince Orchard, John Kelly, joining us on the final drive. Coach, the way the season kind of wraps up for you guys, you got BCC, you got Whitman, and you got a big one against Paint Branch. Obviously, you're not in the same region, so you wouldn't meet probably till way down the road. What do you like having a game against that tough of an opponent going into the playoffs? And how do you approach a game like that where it's not a team that maybe in your region you can see the next week or the next week, but it is a team you could see end up going down the road maybe for that last step into states or something?
Yeah, that's a good point. But to be honest with you, we kind of live under the mind, so we're just trying to focus on 1 week at a time. Going 1-0 each week is kind of our motto. So when we get there to week 10, we'll start to bring our focus on the Paint Branch. I know they're a good football team, but for right now, we just got to really worry about BCC, who we play this week.
And one final one to wrap up with you, Coach. I know that Ty Williams, player at Georgetown, I do their games, and had the spinal injury. I know was a big part of the Quince Orchard program. Have you had any contact with him, and how has the Quince Orchard community tried to rally around him?
Yeah, no, they definitely rally around. I'm going to say something about Ty, and I mean this sincerely. You won't find a better person than him. And I've told people this since this happened to Ty. Ty is one of the most quality individuals that you will come across, and that's sincere. Okay, not only is he a great football player, but he's a great person. I know he's going to bounce back from this rebound. Kind of get back on his feet here, shortly. So he's doing well. He's progressing every single day, and I have no doubt that soon here he'll be back up and doing his thing again.
Well, obviously, a program that produces guys like Ty Williams has to be a pretty daggone good one, and you guys are proving it again on the field and off with another good win tonight against Northwest. Head coach of Quince Orchard, John Kelly, thanks so much for joining us on the show, and congratulations.
All right, Jeremy, thank you.
And Coach Kelly, his guys, again, a little bit like Westfield, they had the early season loss to the really tough opponent, and they have kind of bounced back with flying colors ever since, as they have they're still unbeaten heading into the last 3 weeks of the season. Of course, a big one against Paint Branch looms. He kind of talked about it, one game at a time, and we understand that with high school coaches. That's probably the way you got to do it when you're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-olds. But in the big picture of things, probably they're the best. They're going to be equipped to win their 2 games beside that one, but Paint Branch will probably need their A game to knock off a pretty good Panthers team. Of course, Paint Branch winner tonight over Springbrook by 40-12, a pretty quality Springbrook team. Let's go ahead and look back at a couple games from last night, some scores that we have in from yesterday. BCC, a winner, as Coach mentioned them. They faced Churchill last night, won 48-28. Einstein, a winner over Kennedy last night, 14-0. Richard Montgomery remained at just one loss on the season as they beat Poolesville 24-20. Elsewhere, it was Rockville over Watkins Mill, 30-27 last night. One game that was actually scheduled or that had been announced as Thursday night actually played tonight. Calvert with a win over La Plata as Calvert continues their roll, 35-0. Elsewhere, in D.C., some interesting scores there. Anacostia beat Coolidge 22-21. Ballou suffered their first loss in conference this year as they fall to Dunbar 12-6. So really some parity in the DCI AA, as we could see any teams end up in the Turkey Bowl this year. It's seeming like, considering we thought Ballou was the class after they beat H.D. Woodson. Interestingly enough, Wilson beat H.D. Woodson tonight, 28-18, to send Woodson to 2-4 on the season. So an interesting one there, as Wilson now 6-1. So maybe Wilson and Ballou, maybe Dunbar gets in there. We'll have to see who the teams are, but again, it'll be well fought as they move through. A Bell winner tonight in some Stripes division play as they beat Eastern 28-26 on a last-minute touchdown. We'll go ahead and later on in the show, we will hear from the head coach of Bell, Desmond Alexander, talking about his team's big win over their rivals, Eastern. In Maryland, Bowie, a winner, bouncing back from their first loss of the year to Eleanor Roosevelt last week. They beat High Point 46-8. Atherton moves over 500 for the first time in 3 years at 40. They beat Centennial 42-13. It was Chesapeake over Severna Park 35-14. Northern knocks off Chopticon 35-28. Remember, the Braves of Chopticon with that loss to North Point on Monday. Remember, Chopticon was actually winning that game when it was canceled on Friday due to weather. Had to come back and start it again on Monday. North Point with a big rally, so only gave them a couple days to get ready for Northern, and it seems like it cost the Braves as they fall by 7 to Northern. Gaithersburg, a winner over Clarksburg tonight, 18-7. It was Lackey over Great Mills, 34-14. North Point beat Leonardtown, 35-0. Linganore over Wooten, 50-0. Elsewhere, Arundel, after some tough losses, they get back in a big way, playing some Arundel football, which means scoring a lot of points, as they beat Meade tonight 67-30. Annapolis stayed hot. They beat Northeast 48-0. Elsewhere, it was Walter Johnson with a win over Northwood 24-10. Largo over Oxon Hill 14-6 as the Lions moved to 7-0 on the season. South River edged North County 21-20. Westlake over Thomas Stone 19-14. It was Marriott's Ridge over Wild Lake by a count of 34-7. West Potomac over Annandale 54-30. Battlefield beat Osborne 21-9. Of course, those both Virginia games were in our Virginia action. Eastern View beat Brentsville 37-8. Brentsville losing 2 straight after starting their season 5-0. Central Woodstock beat Riverside 44-20. A exciting win tonight for John Champ as they beat Dominion, their Loudoun County foe, 21-14 in overtime, and a comeback win to move to 7-0 on the season. Basically, Champ from here on out, if you remember, they played Woodgrove earlier in the season, and Woodgrove and beat them first week of the season, actually. Woodgrove with a big win over Heritage tonight. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But Champ with that 7-0 record, a win over Heritage next week would likely give them the Dulles District title. Elsewhere, Loudoun Valley rolled over Freedom of South Riding 44-7. It was Hayfield over Langley 39-21. Elsewhere, Marshall beat Lee 49-6. It was Potomac Falls over Briar Woods 17-0. So remember last year, such a big upset in that matchup between Potomac Falls and Briar Woods. Falls having a real tough season. Potomac Falls having a pretty good season, almost knocking off Tuscarora last week, handing them their first loss of the season. But they had a good one tonight as they beat Briar Woods. I believe Briar Woods falling to 2-5 on the year. Remember that program just a few years removed from going to 4 straight state championship games and winning 3 of them. So it's some tough times in Ashburn for that Briar Woods program. Elsewhere, Madison continues their hot run as they beat South Lakes 38-6. Now Madison 6-1 overall, 4-0 in Conference 6. A matchup with Hayfield looming later on in the season could be for that conference title. We will hear from the head coach of the Warhawks, Lenny Schultz, coming up a little bit later on in the show. West Springfield beat TC Williams just 14-12. We know Peter Musket was hurt in the last week's game. Haven't heard an update on his condition. Don't know if he played tonight, but you have to think if he did, he wasn't too effective as the Spartans win by just 2 over an up-and-coming TC Williams program, but that one at West Springfield. And they get the win, but maybe tough for them down the stretch if they're kind of banged up. Wakefield over Stewart, 49-0, as that could set up a big showdown with Marshall later in the season. Marshall getting a big win tonight in their contest. Elsewhere, it was Woodgrove over Heritage, 49-7. Remember, Heritage designs on winning the Dulles District. Woodgrove flexing their muscles in that one with the 49-7 win. Elsewhere, it was Yorktown over McLean, 21-20. So that's your look at scores we have. If you have a score that we don't have, go ahead and send it to us. Do it on Twitter via at DMV Stream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Got a lot more coming up on the show. Remember, we'll talk to the head coach of the Madison Warhawks, Lenny Schultz. Also, we'll hear from Bell head coach Desmond Alexander as we move through the program. Again, you want to go ahead and get in touch with us. Tweet at us at DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. We'll have more of the Final Drive coming up right after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks in the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.COM is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into The Final Drive. It's been a really good show so far. You've already heard from three coaches with big wins tonight. Chatted with the head coach of the Westfield Bulldogs, Kyle Simmons. His team with a 3-0 win over Robinson kind of definitely puts them in the driver's seat if they weren't already in the Conference 5, the old Concord District in Virginia. Also, Mickey Thompson, head coach of the Stonebridge Bulldogs, his squad pulling an upset on crosstown rival Broad Run. Bulldogs beating the Spartans 27-13. Really a game full of goal line stands in that one for Stonebridge. Also tonight, we've also chatted with the head coach of the 11th ranked Quince Orchard Cougars, John Kelly, his squad with a 28-7 win over Northwest. Now, we will chat with another coach. Had a chance to catch up with him before the show. That'd be the head coach of the Madison Warhawks, Lenny Schultz, with the win tonight. His Warhawks getting the victory as they beat South Lakes in what really kind of a dominating win by Madison in that one, as they get the 38-6 win over South Lakes and kind of put themselves along with Hayfield right now in the driver's seat in their Conference 6. And again, Madison for a long time, a pretty good program in the old, I believe, in their old Liberty District, but kind of ran into Stonebridge. So a good chance for them now, kind of with the Bulldogs playing the Loudon schools, to maybe go ahead and get themselves a district title. Should be interesting to see, a conference title, I should say, what those guys can do at Madison. But they get the big win tonight over at South Lakes and had a chance to catch up with Coach Lenny Schultz after the game. Schultz, your guys with a great performance tonight with a very nice win over a pretty game South Lakes team. They've been putting up some major points on the season. How are you guys able to hold them down like you did tonight?
Well, our defense did their homework. They study film together every week and have dinner together and do their homework, and we game plan it out, and it worked. I have a good defensive coordinator and Ray Gordon, and he does his homework. We watch film over and over, and it's been working for us.
It definitely has been the way you guys have really gotten it going this season. I think 38 points, though, against a quality opponent like South Lakes obviously has to be mentioned. That's a very good performance. Talk about some guys who may have stood out for you in the offensive side of things today.
Well, our offensive line is starting to work together better as a unit and making plays. And Jason Gastrock definitely made some big plays. And, they did a good job against our power running game, and we made some plays on our read option game. And Jason made those reads and had some key first downs when they were seemed to be stopping us on dive plays until we can get it going and figure out how to block them a little better. Then he made some key throws, and so our passing game helped our run game later on.
Talking to Lenny Schultz, head coach of the Madison Warhawks. A nice win tonight over South Lakes. Coach, I think some people kind of lost, early in the season. You dropped the one against Oakton, a quality team, and then you beat Stonebridge. And then the way Stonebridge has played this year, no one knew, was that a good win or was it a good win? And then you guys have just reeled off and been really good ever since that opening game. Did that win over the Bulldogs kind of give you guys some confidence to kind of keep plugging away and keep getting better and better into the team you've kind of turned into now?
Oh, absolutely. We felt, we always, Oakton does a great job coming out of the gate against us, and we felt we should have had that one too. They are, a quality team coached by Coach Rowley over there, and we knew we had a pretty good team going into the season, and we knew if we can get a win over them, would just help us and help our momentum, and just we worked hard this summer. We went away to camp and to keep getting better and better. And we saw the Oakton game could be a blessing for us in disguise. We saw our mistakes on film against a quality team when we played high on the offensive line and defensive line, and we came out and played at pad level against Stonebridge and have continued that ever since.
Coach, you move on in the season. You got Fairfax and Washington Lee coming up, and then you got what could be one for the conference championship against Hayfield. Obviously, it'll be a big one there either way. Do you like kind of building to that, a game that has those type of stakes, and then having to go into the playoffs maybe the next week and kind of play from there? Or would you rather maybe ease into your playoff run a little bit more?
I'm happy to play them anywhere. I'm real happy it's toward the end of the season. We knew we thought it could come down to us and them at the beginning of the year. We said, hey, that last game is going to be for the conference championship, and to get there, we have to knock one team off at a time. Now, we're not looking past Fairfax next week or the next one. It's the next game is always the next biggest game on our schedule. So this was a big one. We're both ranked pretty high this week. This was a great big win, and we're going to celebrate it tonight and go back to work tomorrow and start preparing for the next game next Friday night. So, that's what I'm telling you guys. It's the biggest game of the year for them because it's the next game.
And one last one for you, Coach Schultz. You were a star at Madison back in the day. How proud are you the fact you've been able to, one, get this job, and then two, be able to kind of lead the Warhawks down in the way and make you guys a contender again when it comes to football in the Virginia area?
Oh, I'm very proud of this team, and I got several players on my coaching staff from that team. In fact, last night at dinner we watched a game of South Lakes Madison from 1982, and it was the game of the week, and it was the game of the year, and it was the most memorable game my senior class had because we're both ranked top 5 in all of Northern Virginia, and maybe even the Met that year. And so they got to see our final drive at dinner, and it was part of my dinner speech last night to them, and how proud it makes me feel that we're going to compete this year. So,
well, Coach Schultz, obviously that worked, and what you've been doing's worked. A nice 38-6 win over South Lakes tonight, putting you guys right up there at the top of Conference 6. Again, congratulations on the win, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And again, a team to be reckoned with. They already have the win over Stonebridge. That was at full strength Stonebridge team, but Joe Thompson was not yet injured. So that's a quality Madison football team and able to do some damage. As we said, they'd be matching up with some of the other teams. They look like they could be a team to be reckoned with in that Conference 6. So everyone should be keeping an eye on that Madison squad and what they can do as they move forward. Another team to keep an eye on as we move along here on the final drive, that would be the Bell Griffins. That squad with a win tonight, and an exciting, thrilling one as they knocked off Eastern in a rematch of their Gravy Bowl contest last year, as Bell with the 28-26 win at the end of the end of game victory for the Griffins, as Charles Brooks, the standout running back, to a 12-yard pass to DeJuan Brown at the gun to go ahead and get that win. So Bell very excited as they kind of flex their muscles in the Stripes division of the DCIAA. Well, I had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Bell Griffins tonight, a little bit before the show, as their coach Desmond Alexander joined me here on the final drive. Coach Alexander, obviously a thrilling win for you guys tonight, knocking off Eastern 28-26 in that rematch of the Gravy Bowl game from last year. And as usual, your guy Charles Brooks was all over the stat sheet, threw the game-winning touchdown pass at the end of the matchup, had a whole bunch of rushing yards in the first half, by our calculations, around 300 yards of total offense, had a 65-yard pass to get you down there. Obviously a complete team win, but he had to stand out for you tonight, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, Charles is an amazing talent. You know, as you said, he performed for us all over the field, quarterback, running back, safety. So he was just all around great tonight.
Now, looking at this game, obviously, you guys, it was a back-and-forth affair, and your guys, after giving up a touchdown late in the game, they were able to go down the field, put a drive together, and win in the end. I guess, first, what did you tell your guys after you gave up that touchdown to Eastern to have them take the lead late in the game?
We just told them the game's not over. We got the ball. We control our destiny, so let's go down there and score.
And with that being said, you go down. What were you thinking as you kind of get down there close and you have a chance after that big pass? What was your mindset as the coach said, okay, what are we going to do here to get this thing in the end zone?
My question was, what I was thinking about, was how we're going to get the ball in the hands of the playmaker. Somebody else, we got to have somebody else to make a play. And number 3, Kayate McKenzie had that great 65-yard screen pass that got us down there, and then DeJuan Brown had a great catch on the 1-yard line. So I was just trying to think of who else can we get to make a play. We do have an amazing talent, but I think people lose sight of the fact that we're a team. We have several players who can step up and make some plays.
And most definitely they did that tonight with the late score to put you guys over the top. What was the excitement level after you guys put that one in the end zone at the end to win things?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
What was the excitement level for your guys after they scored the touchdown right at the end to win it?
Oh, man, they were completely, just exuberant, running all over the place, just filled up, with joy and excitement. So, and it was well-deserved.
Most definitely, Coach. And you guys have only lost one on the season, that early one to a very quality Blue team who obviously took down H.D. Woodson earlier in the year, so no slouch in losing to them. How do you see the rest of your season breaking down schedule-wise and as you kind of ramp the guys up for the playoffs, for the Gravy Bowl, and then also the DCSAA playoffs?
Well, having a good record, being 5-1, playing quality competition, it puts you in a different predicament when you become the 100. So every week we're going to get every team's best. So every week, next week we got Roosevelt, and then more quality opponents after that. So we just have to stay even keel, continue to prepare. My coaches do a great job. My offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams, they put a lot of time in the game preparation. We pride ourselves on preparing. So in getting our guys ready, we just got every week. We just got to keep battling. We cannot look past any opponent.
And Coach, do you feel at all that your guys may have learned that lesson the hard way last year after you knocked off Eastern twice in regular season and got beat by them in the postseason? You think they know, hey, we've got to respect every single opponent we see, and if we've knocked them off early in the year?
Absolutely. Most definitely, I think they've learned that lesson, that we have to take every opponent, fully serious.
Well, Desmond Alexander's Bell Griffins, a big win tonight, 28-26 over Eastern, puts them in the driver's seat in the Stripes division, the DCIAA. Coach Alexander, congratulations, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Coach Alexander, a big win for his guys tonight, again, 28-26. Let's go ahead and run them all down and wrap things up here on the final drive. Another fantastic show. Number 1, DeMatha goes down to defeat tonight as they fall to number 15, Gonzaga, 24-14. Eagles forcing 4 turnovers in the contest. Tyree Randolph ran for 117 and 2 touchdowns in the contest. Number 2, Damascus, a winner yesterday, routing Whitman 63-7. Number 3, Lake Braddock, a rout over W.T. Woodson tonight, 61-56. It was number 4 South County over Mount Vernon, 55-6. Number 5 Old Mill at Southern. That's a 1 p.m. start tomorrow. Number 6 Wise at Eleanor Roosevelt. That's a 2 p.m. start tomorrow. Number 7 Westfield winning a wacky one over Robinson, 3-0. The Bulldogs get the win over the Rams. Yes, 3-0. A field goal in the second quarter, only score of the game. Number 8 Tuscarora over Edison, 34-6. It was number 9 Seneca Valley over Wheaton, 50-6. It was number 10 Broad Run falling to crosstown rival Stonebridge, 27-13. Bulldogs get Tuscarora next week. Number 11, Quince Orchard over Northwest, 28-7. Number 12, St. John's at Carroll tomorrow at 2. Number 13, Good Counsel at McNamara. That's also a 2 p.m. game tomorrow. Number 14, Howard breezes by Hammond, 47-10. Number 16, Paint Branch beats Springbrook, 40-12. Number 17, Duval at Bladensburg tomorrow at 2 p.m. Gilman routed number 18, Spalding, 48-7. Number 19, Sherwood over Blair, 35-0. Sherwood takes on Paint Branch next week. Number 20, Hilton Falls to Colonial Forge, 24-16. Some action from Thursday in Maryland as Blake beat Magruder, 41-38. Number BCC over Churchill, 48-28. Einstein beat Kennedy, 14-0. Richard Montgomery over Poolsville, 24-20. It was Watkins Mill over falling to Rockville, 30-27. Also some action tonight from Maryland. Calvert over La Plata, 35-0. DC Schools Anacostia beat Coolidge, 22-21. Dunbar upsets Ballou, 12-6. It was Bell over Eastern, 28-26. Wilson knocks off WHD Woodson, 28-18. Wilson now 6-1 on the year. Woodson now 2-4. In Maryland, Bowie beat High Point 46-8. Atherton over Centennial 42-13. Elsewhere, it was Chesapeake over Severna Park 35-14. Northern beat Chopticon 35-28. Gaithersburg knocked off Clarksburg 18-7. Lackey over Great Mills 34-14. North Point over Leonardtown 35-0. It was Linganore over Wooten 50-0. Elsewhere, Arundel beat Meade 67-30. Annapolis over Northeast 48-0. And it was Walter Johnson over Northwood 24-10. Largo beats Oxon Hill 14-6 to improve to 7-0 on the season. New score in, Patuxent gets back on the right track after the loss to Calvert last week, beating McDonough 49-8. It was South River over North County 21-20. Gwynn Park over Surrattsville 43-6. That one just in. Westlake over Thomas Stone 19-14. Marriott's Ridge beats Wild Lake 34-7. Another score just in. West Potomac over Annandale 54-30. Host of these scores just in, actually. Battlefield knocking off Osborne 21-9. Eastern View beats Brentsville 37-8. Central Woodstock over Riverside 44-20. Champ moves to 7-0 on the year as they beat Dominion 21-14 in overtime. Elsewhere, Loudon Valley over Freedom of South Riding 44-7. It was Centerville over Herndon tonight 38-20. Hayfield over Langley 39-21. Marshall beat Lee 49-6. Fauquier over Manassas Park 35-0. Chantilly with an impressive win over Oakton, winning 28-6. So the Chargers may be looking to make some noise in their conference. Remember, they will close their season with a matchup against Westfield. Chantilly on the year have lost 2 games, though. One of them in conference to Robinson, one of them out of conference to Stonebridge. So we'll see how things move along, but a nice win for Chantilly tonight. Massaponax over Potomac 49-7. It was Potomac Falls over Briar Woods 17-0. Madison beats South Lakes 38-6. The Warhawks atop their conference as they are 6-1 on the season. Patriot over Stonewall Jackson 41-12. West Springfield edges TC Williams 14-12. Wakefield over Stewart 49-0. It was Woodbridge knocking off Forest Park tonight 18-15. Woodgrove over Heritage 49-7. And Yorktown over McLean 21-20. Real quick, look at your games tomorrow in case you want to get out there and check out a game. Noon start, Murray on the road at St. Andrews of Delaware. 1 o'clock starts following Athlon at Riverdale Baptist. Annapolis Area Christian hosting Friends of Baltimore. Loudoun County on the road at Rockridge. Friendship Collegiate hosting Paramus Catholic of New Jersey. Reservoir goes to Mount Hebron. Number 5, Old Mill hosting Southern. 1:30 start, a big one in Alexandria tomorrow. Episcopal looking to go ahead and get the IAC title have one against a somewhat struggling Bullis program that's kind of run things in the IAC. Of course, Dwayne Haskins on that team as well. Should be an interesting one tomorrow in Alexandria. Host of 2 o'clock games. All these games, 2 o'clock starts. Bishop Ireton against Benedictine. That is a rematch of last year's VISA, that's the Virginia Independent Schools championship game, Ireton and Benedictine. Duval looks to bounce back after their tough loss to Wise last week as they'll host Bladensburg. C.H. Flowers at Suitland. Forestville hosts Central, Fairmont Heights at Douglas, number 13, Good Counsel at McNamara. St. Stephen, St. Agnes hosting Landon. National Collegiate is at Kip. It's Northwestern hosting Parkdale. Paul VI at St. Christopher's. Laurel hosting Potomac of Maryland. Potomac School at Flint Hill. That'll be a 2 o'clock start. St. John's and Carroll, that's a 2 o'clock start. That long-standing rivalry between those two squads. Wise and Eleanor Roosevelt, that is a 2 o'clock start. And Sidwell Friends will be hosting Wilmington Friends. That a 2:30 contest. So that's your look at what's going on tonight here in the DMV. It was a jam-packed show. Again, want to thank all of our guests on the show tonight. All of them, thank them so much for joining us and giving just a little bit of time. Those folks who joined the show tonight, Bell head coach Desmond Alexander, also head coach of the Quince Orchard Cougars, John Kelly, joined us on the show. Also joining us, Westfield head coach Kyle Simmons after their win over Robinson. The Stonebridge head coach Mickey Thompson also joined us on the show to talk about the Bulldogs' win over crosstown rival Broad Run. And it was Lenny Schultz, head coach of the Madison Warhawks, talking about his team's big win over the South Lakes Seahawks. That's going to do it for the show tonight. Again, I'm Jeremy Huber. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Remember, any feedback, send it to us, tweet us at DMV Stream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. We'll be back next week with more as we take you down the stretch in high school football here in the DMV, right here on DMV Stream with the Final Drive. Good night, everybody.